Ringside.
Hey, everybody, before we get the show started this week, we have a very special guest, friend of the show, the fifth Beatle. We have Tender Mahal, Joey O'Farrell. Joey O'Farrell.
Oh, dog.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing okay, and the reason we have Joey on the show this week is he wants to talk about the upcoming wrestling show that he's having in St. Louis, Missouri, Wrestling at the Grandel. If you've been to one of Joey's before, this is his third one, and they are fun. I can't recommend it more. He generally, the first two, he has put in a very cool venue, each of them, and I can't say enough about it. Joey, why don't you tell us what's going on with the new one?
Yeah, so unlike previous years, we're not going to call it STL versus the World. We're calling it Wrestling at the Grandel, which was like the original name for the event before Billy Corgan kind of swooped in and did Wrestling at the Chase for the first time in 30 years. But I feel like the bloom's off the rose a little bit. We can go back to basics, and I'm really excited to bring this, not to steal from WWE, this premium event to St. Louis, and hopefully, build that tradition with the third year.
And the third year, but is the format of the show still STL versus the World? I mean, is it still local wrestlers? No? No,
I think we've kind of gone away from that. We do have 3 or 4 matches where we have guys, Speedball Mike Bayley's coming in to face Mike Outlaw.
Woo!
We got Mance Warner versus Gary J. Jake something versus KLD. But we're also doing matches like, Matt Kimway versus Camaro Jackson. Warhorse is doing an open challenge with versus anybody, but there's a good likely chance you'll see an STL person in that role. And you got Ben Truss versus Dak Draper. You're going to see a lot of familiar faces, but you're also going to see a lot of people you haven't seen before. Obviously, we've seen Mike Bayley come through with GCW. We've seen Mance Warner come through with, WrestleMax and GCW as well. But we've never seen these matchups before. We've never seen Mike Bayley versus, versus Mike Outlaw, who I think is one of the, most talented wrestlers in the Midwest.
It's interesting. You and I have been friends for a very long time. We've talked about wrestling basically since we've met. This is your third show that you're putting on.
Fourth show.
I'm sorry, fourth show.
Okay.
I told you he's one of my best friends, people. So
you're having a Halloween show.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. So what have you? And I'll just say this, for your first 3 shows, they were all bangers. I mean, certified bangers. Everybody that went there had a good time. They were all successes, at least as far as I can tell. What do you think that everybody thinks that they can book a wrestling show, but you've gone from, mark to promoter. So what do you think that you've learned? What are the challenges that you see, and how do you think that you're going to top yourself with this one?
Yeah, I don't think we ever really stop learning when it comes to, doing any kind of production or any kind of event production, that is. But I think this time around, I got more people in place to kind of help out. So I think we're going to see a lot more smoother of a show. You're going to see a lot more of definitive heels versus baby faces. You're going to see a lot more storytelling. You're going to be entertained throughout the whole show. I think we just want to make sure that even if you're just a casual fan or just somebody that wants to come be entertained, that you know what's going on, that hey, this is who I'm cheering for, this is who I'm booing, and you're just entertained throughout the whole show. You're not getting, you're not sitting there on your phone. You're entertained. I think a lot of times we go to wrestling shows and we want to cheer for the person or boo the person, but we really don't know what's going on. So I think this year my goal is to just kind of, tell stories and keep the fans interested and keep the fans informed on what's going on. And, do whatever I can to make sure that the crowd is as loud as it can get.
Do you find that you have developed better relationships with certain wrestlers over the last few shows, people that are coming back? Is there anybody that's been to that will be performing at all four?
Oh yeah, there's multiple. I mean, Gary J, Mike Outlaw, Camaro Jackson, Moses Raheem. I've been in all of them. I'm trying to think. I think KLD's been in all of them.
Who is coming through for their first one that you're most excited about? I mean, you mentioned Speedball Mike Bayley. That's a big name on the indie circuit. So, besides Speedball Mike Bayley, who are you excited for coming through the first time?
I mean, obviously Mance Warner. I think Mance Warner versus Gary J isn't a match that's happened anywhere near St. Louis. So I know that a lot of people are excited to see those two go at it. Obviously they're both hard-hitting guys. They're both guys who, tend to get into situations where they may bleed a lot or go through a table or, get hit with a chair. So I think a lot of people are very excited to see that, as am I. And you got Shazza McKenzie. It's going to be her first show at the Grandel. Obviously, she's a St. Louis native nowadays, but she is from Australia. And she had just moved here, I think, a week after the last Grandel show. And then you got Davey Bang and Austin Matthews, who are one of the most phenomenal tag teams in the Midwest. They're out of Chicago. So yeah, I mean, I think that there are quite a few on the show that you may have not seen before. And if you have seen some of these guys, I try and make it fresh matchups to where it's not something you'll see in any of the wrestling companies. Even if, you're seeing a Jake something, well, you haven't seen Jake something versus KLD in quite a while. So I want to make it to where it's not something you'd see in Glory Pro or Anarchy or one of the other companies.
So I know Bill asked you about just coming from being a wrestling fan to a promoter, and I know that I literally drove by the sign on I-55 promoting the show.
Big time stuff.
Just talk about that, because that's stuff that usually I see with AEW, WWE, and now JOF, Joey O'Farrell, has Wrestling at the Grandel on a billboard on I-55. Talk about just how you feel about coming from that point to where it's starting to feel like, at least from my opinion, that the Wrestling at the Grandel is not just something that your friends know, but a lot of other people know as well.
And the second part of that question, how'd you make the decision to just have the billboard just a big picture of your face?
Can you imagine if I did that? Oh my God.
money well spent.
Yeah. No, I think that it's one of those things where, you could sit there all day and you could say, oh man, this is a big event. This is like St. Louis's WrestleMania. This is, St. Louis's big event for their guys. But until you do something like that to say, hey, and even, here's the thing, even if it doesn't attract a lot of people this year, or, I think moving forward, it will, but also it just makes the event feel big. It makes people go, wow, what is that? Because we're a once a year event, so I feel like I had to do something big to bring, like, oh, hey, what Wrestling at the Grandel? What is that? Like, that's not Glory Pro, that's not Anarchy, but it's all the guys that wrestle there, and it's in this beautiful theater. Like, what is that? Like, I saw the billboard. I think it's and also it brings me a lot of joy to be able to put some of our guys like Ben Truss, like Shazza McKenzie, like Mike Outlaw on a billboard, and even guys like Mike Bayley, who are like sharing that stuff out. Jake something, they're very proud of it. So I think for me, it makes the event feel big. And obviously a lot of people are going to see it. It's great promotion, great advertising, but it's just something to me that really makes the event feel like a big event.
Wrestling seems like it is as popular as it's been probably since you and I started talking about it. I don't know how long we've known each other, 18 years or something. wrestling is hot right now again. There you have two major promotions. I mean, and the behemoth in the business, WWE, is clicking, for lack of a better word. It fucking rules. How do you capitalize off of that? And with so much wrestling going on right now, how do you make it stand out?
I mean, I think once I kind of realized that the star of the show, I mean, obviously the wrestlers themselves are fantastic, but the real star of the show is the Grandel, and you're just not going to get another experience like that. You're basically, it's like going to see a live action movie. You're going into this beautiful theater, you're sitting in stadium seating, and you're looking at just a spectacle. It's very, it's hard to explain without actually, being there, but
it's a beautiful room. It's an amazing room.
And it's, as far as production goes, like this year there's going to be a lot more lights. We're doing a massive projection screen this year, so it'll be like literally going to see a movie. I just feel like, production-wise, on an indie level, it's hard to touch it, and it's just a different vibe, a different feel, and it's half wrestling show, half entertainment. And this year we're going to have live band intros. We're going to have, a lot of bigger intros for some of these guys and girls. You're going to see some things you haven't really seen before on an indie level. You're going to see some WWE type entrances, WrestleMania type entrances this year. And I think that's going to catch. And as we keep moving forward every year, we're going to do more and more of that. I mean, my hope is, this year we're doing 9 matches. My hope is next year we do 6 matches or 7 matches. And we really focus on making each match a spectacle in itself, whether that be with the entrance or the story that we're telling, or just giving the wrestlers that time to really go out there and have a great match. Because I do think that time is of the essence when it comes to indie wrestling. You only have the people for so long until they tire out. So my biggest thing, you asked me earlier, like, what's the biggest thing I've learned? And I think the biggest thing I've learned is time is of the essence. If the show goes on too long, you are not only is your audience getting tired, but your wrestlers are going to have less of a chance to really get their match over.
Could you put in a call to Tony Khan and let him know that about AEW pay-per-view?
Stop. Okay, let's focus on Joe.
Before we go, tell me more about this heat that you have with Billy Corgan. No, I'm fucking around. So tell the people give the people all the deets. Where can they get tickets? What's the date?
Yeah.
What's the time?
So it's the date is Sunday, March 24th. Doors at 3 p.m. Show at 4 p.m. You can get tickets at MetroTix /Grandel Wrestling, or just go to MetroTix and type in Wrestling at the Grandel. You can go to the Fox and buy tickets for the event as well. If you want to, take care of not have the fees and all that, you can just go to the Fox and buy tickets at the box office. What else? What else do I got for you? You can go to any of our social media pages, and there's a link on there as well. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's all reserved seating, so you can kind of pick and choose where you're going to set at. I highly recommend the balcony. Obviously, Billy, you've set the balcony before. You know how great it is.
Yeah, it's awesome. It is quite the view. I've also gotten up close before, and that's also quite a bit of fun, though, too.
There's really not a bad seat in the house, but you're definitely getting a different perspective on wrestling than you would anywhere else. So I would say that to a wrestling fan who's never been there, never seen it, it's definitely worth the trip. What else I got for you? Yeah.
Wrestling at the Grandel, March 24th. Band from Ringside will be there. We will be represented, and we will be having a great time. Joey, thank you so much for joining Band from Ringside, and we're looking forward to it. And, I can only say this as a true friend. I'm proud of you. I think that this shit fucking rules.
Amen.
And you're doing a great job with it, and you should be proud of yourself, too. It's awesome.
Well, right back at you. What's it 6 years running now with the podcast? That's pretty incredible.
This is episode 350.
just limping along.
I can't believe it was 50 episodes ago that Joey treated us to
Stole my thunder.
a trip back in time, going to Shock City Studios. I can't believe that was 50 episodes. The other thing I was going to say, Joey, is that 4 p.m. start time. That's a matinee start time. So I want to tell people that this is a family-friendly event. As long as you don't mind your kids watching Gary J just bleed all over, all over the Grandel. I mean, right? Shouldn't people bring their kids?
Absolutely. It's definitely a family-friendly event. We do our best to kind of appeal to all audiences. We want this to feel like a WWE event. We're also hosting an after party at the Field House, which is a couple blocks from the venue. It's a really family-friendly restaurant bar. They do a lot of slew events there. So definitely come on down to that. You hang out with the wrestlers, get some food. So yeah, it's definitely family-friendly though, for sure. Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
Again, Wrestling at the Grandel. It is May 24th. Get your tickets.
It's March 24th.
Sorry, March 24th. Oh my God, how embarrassing! God.
But jumping into time.
Yeah, Joey, thank you for joining the Band from Ringside podcast.
No worries, guys. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
All right, JOF.
PJ Bell.
Band from Ringside. Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your #1 source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale. Band from Ringside.
Tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast, we have Sting's last match, your AEW Revolution results. The Rock heels off on Phoenix, Arizona, and acknowledges Roman Reigns as his tribal chief. And Okada shows up at AEW Dynamite. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Band from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Shaquille O'Neal. And directly across from me, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, Jason?
God damn you. I love it. That's great. That is fucking great. I'm just saying, that's great. If you're down with JCB, hell yeah, that's me. On that movie note, I'll ask your congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Band from Ringside podcast, volume 350, chapter 3, verse 14 of the Good Smart Saith, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat, the holy trinity of BFR. Another dull-ass week of wrestling. We're going to talk about it anyway. Kick it to my boy, 3 Beer.
And out there in Portland, Oregon, we have 2 Beer Zach Coleman. What's going on, 2 Beer Zach?
Beer for Weston House.
Pretty good. A little sleepy. Still in my refractory period from Revolution and Dynamite, but I'll recover.
The fuck is refractory period?
Refractory period is the period that you're in after you bust a nut.
Okay. Usually I'll just call that a cigarette break,
See,
but, that's just me.
You just,
all I heard was
you just
period.
You learn some
That's
things.
a good thing.
Oh my God!
You bust a nut before every cigarette? That's crazy.
Motherfucker smokes too.
Everybody got a type.
We're coming at you from beautiful St. Charles, Missouri. We also have Vice sitting to my right. What's going on, Vice? Hasn't been here at the beginning of the show in a while. What's going on?
Hey, I'm just here to listen to you guys and have some fun.
All right, so
fire that shit.
We're starting this a little bit later. There is so much to get to. I don't want to be up until 2:30 in the morning, so let's try to keep this podcast to under 3 hours.
Under 3 hours, hurt.
Okay, all right, you TKs? All right. Thank you to Joey O'Farrell for coming up and wasn't blowing smoke. Wrestling at the Grandel is going to be a big-time blast, and we are in, you could probably call it this might be considered a golden age of professional wrestling with the type of shit that we're seeing. So, without further ado, let's get to that 3 count. 1, 2, 3. JCB, kick it off.
Dealer's choice, I'm assuming. Man.
I mean,
I know what I want to go with, but
Go with what you want to go with.
okay, then I'm gonna go with what I want to go with because it's considering I'm one of the biggest, one of the millions and millions of the Rock's fans, and the biggest one of the three of us here. I'm gonna talk about how my boy acknowledged Roman Reigns, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? So, opening up SmackDown, Roman Reigns comes out and decides he's ready to go home. He doesn't want to fuck around anymore. He's pissed off. Heyman stops him, brings out The Rock, and The Rock just does what The Rock does. Like I said last week, I think this week was better than it was last week. I don't give a fuck if it ran 3 minutes or 30 minutes. That shit was entertaining from jump. I don't give a fuck. But the biggest thing coming out of that is now we will have probably will have a tag team match on night one with Roman and The Rock versus Seth and Cody. If the babyface wins, then the Bloodline cannot interfere in night two main event. I would assume it'd be the main event, Rock versus Cody. If the Bloodline wins, then it's all hell breaks loose. No holds barred, no rules, Bloodline rules, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The second part, and the part that had me almost on the floor, once again, when I'm speechless, that usually means that you have done something to the point where I cannot say anything. I'm just watching in awe. Roman says that he can't go forward until The Rock acknowledges him. And I literally was like, oh, this is where we going, this is it? This is how we going to start this shit? We going to break up the Bloodline like this? And of course, to my shock, Roman gets his wish. The Rock acknowledges him in the most gracious way possible. So then I stopped to think about it. I was like, okay, these are the seeds. If they wanted to go this route, this is how you get Rock versus Roman down the line. If Roman loses, Rock can pull it off to where, you know, you can't be the tribal chief. You can't be losing these big matches, yada, yada, yada. Nonetheless, two things coming out of that segment. Well, three things. Rock is still goddamn funny. I don't care what nobody says. Number one. Number two, tag team match. And number three, Rock acknowledges Roman Reigns.
Zach, what did you think of the segment?
Man, it cracked me up. I mean, you don't normally see them get that edgy, and you can tell, like, Rock came from the Attitude Era. I mean, he really just laid into that crowd, calling them meth heads, and just from right at the beginning, he's, like, just going in about how Phoenix is the number one town for crack, and that they're in the suburb, or meth, and that they're in the suburb. And then he just bookended it. Like, that was the first thing he said. And then he talks for like 20 minutes, and then he's like, now go home and smoke some more crack. It was so on the nose. It was pretty good and pretty significant. I think I applauded the fact that he did acknowledge Roman Reigns, because I think that was a big thing in storyline and outside of storyline. It feels like The Rock is overshadowing Roman in all of this. And I like that they're playing into it and acknowledging that, and then therefore making Roman Rock acknowledge Roman. So I was for it.
I mean, dead motherfucking perfect segment. Like, I didn't know how much I missed The Rock being a heel. I know that I said this, and I know that we are, I mean, we might sound like broken records, but really, him acknowledging Roman was a huge piece of this puzzle. This is what we're talking about when we say, you know, you got to just grab on and let them take you for a ride, because I don't know how they lay it out, but they probably like, listen, somewhere along the way, The Rock they have to, no pun intended, they have to acknowledge this part of the story. They
acquiesce to Roman Reigns.
Yeah, so now he acknowledged him as his tribal chief. Is there a chief that's higher or something like that? I don't know. But this is how they'll eventually get to that Roman Rock match. That was the beginning of the end of it, basically. I mean, they're going to play that clip over and over and over again in all the packages. The Rock was just tremendous. Now go home and smoke some more crack. I was like that Antonio Banderas gif where he just leans back and he kind of bites his finger like he's just so satisfied. I was like, oh, that was so good. Just
shit.
Just a perfect, like Zach said, it's just a perfect way to end the segment. I didn't even, Zach's right too. Like, I didn't even think about him just being from the Attitude Era. And you can tell The Rock is way more comfortable at the beginning of a show than at the end of a show, because at the end of the show he has a hard out. At the beginning of the show, no one's going to tell him to stop.
Oh, no.
So he can just go on and on and on.
Y'all better start rewriting the script.
You know, there are times where somebody will come back and take up a lot of space, and we'll be like, well, you know, what about all the other guys on the roster who this is like squeezing their matches out of the show, or their matches are getting cut short? I'll tell you what, with so much wrestling, so much good wrestling going on, there's nothing to complain about. If you're out there complaining that The Rock is taking away from a fucking Karrion Kross match or some shit like that, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. Go watch Young Sheldon or something. Like,
oh no!
This is what I'm watching for. I'm watching for The Rock coming through and just healing the fuck off, and then ending it. And also, I know that I said this for the press conference, but The Rock can fucking act, because, you know, there's always those pregnant pauses in wrestling where you let the crowd react and everything, but The Rock was really selling a lot of emotion during that, and it was just perfect. It was like, what's he gonna do? It's like, I was kind of walking around the room. I had my earbud in, it was playing on my iPad, and like when Roman said that, I was like, what? And I was just staring at that iPad. My kid turned the oven on, climbed in it. I was like, I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Hold on a second. Gotta see what Rocky's doing.
You got time for it heats up.
You do, yeah.
You got at least a minute and a half. It's a learning experience.
People do saunas on purpose.
Yeah, they pay for it.
But yeah, couldn't have loved it more. It was a tremendous segment. Tremendous
Holy
segment.
Shit.
And it brought the focus back on, or at least brought Roman back into it, because Roman's the tribal chief, and Roman really just stood there. The Rock just fucking did a fucking 30-minute stand-up set, man. Really something. The
Rock was like Bill Burr whenever like Bill was in Philadelphia and the crowd was like heckling, and he just goes out there and he just forgets about his set and he just rails in the city.
You guys got a statue of fucking Rocky? It's a fake person. It's not even a real person. Joe Frazier's from Philadelphia. One bridge, having ass city.
Oh no!
Really good stuff. And you know what? They set it up. It was really smart too, how Roman came out first and was unhappy with how the crowd was acknowledging him, because it puts it in the back of your mind, acknowledge me, acknowledge me, acknowledge me. It was really well written.
The acting part of The Rock, I couldn't agree with you more. When the moment of truth came and Roman stopped The Rock in the middle of his catchphrase, I'm like, what in the fuck is going to do? Well, no, you don't do that. That is the ultimate no-no. And then he told him you had to acknowledge it. And I'm looking at The Rock like, you gonna do something about this? Punching in the face, man. It totally was one of the best suspenseful moments so far of the year.
As a Rock fan, did you feel a little cucked when he did acknowledge him?
Yeah. I say, somebody give me a towel.
Put Jason in the cuck chair.
It's kind of weird sitting up on top watching this go down.
Jason's in the cuck chair. Moxley's sitting on the ottoman.
I'm about to break this chair. I'm laughing so hard.
The best is that JCB acts like he's never been in a Howard Johnson.
I ain't that damn old. No, I've never been to Howard Johnson. Driven by plenty, though. Other big stories coming out of SmackDown. Dakota Kai finally shows her cards. Unfortunately, a little too early for my taste.
I love how our entire analysis of that Rock Roman segment was. Wasn't that cool?
If you didn't like it, fuck you. Chew big red.
You guys remember when The Rock came out and acknowledged Roman Reigns? It was cool. It was cool, man.
It was a good time, man. Dakota Kai turns on Bayley mid-match and helps Damage Control beat down Bayley. like I said, for me, this would have been a little closer to WrestleMania. Neither here nor there. The damage in this case is done literally and figuratively. Like I said before, going up to this wasn't a huge surprise to me. I kind of thought this was where it was going to go. It just happened a little too quickly for my taste. Take the lead of this as you will.
What you think of it, Zach?
I'm sorry, I got distracted there for a second. Which segment?
Bayley getting turned on by.
Oh,
Dakota.
yeah. That seemed like they pulled the trigger very quickly on that. Yeah, I mean, it was very on the nose and very blatant. It didn't leave any question at all. I did like that Bayley immediately just went after Dakota Kai, motherfucker. But yeah, that surprised me.
Did it surprise you that Tiffany Stratton went over Naomi?
No.
Kind of surprised me.
Not at all.
It kind of surprised me that they were wrestling.
Tiffany pinned Naomi first, the Elimination Chamber, and kind of trolled her afterwards. So this is the spinoff from it.
So you think they're telling a story with Tiffany and Naomi, not just having Tiffany railroad Naomi?
I don't know.
My dick just moved a little bit. Okay, well, I'd be cool with it if it's going to have a match between them two. What did we think about Randy Orton versus Austin Theory at the end, and then KO and Randy Orton kind of acknowledging each other as like they're on the same side?
For now.
Do you think that's going to be a triple threat match?
Yes.
Logan Paul, Randy Orton, KO?
Logan Paul will be on next week, or tomorrow in this case. I think he's the perfect foil for both guys because he's gotten underneath both guys' skin and he holds some gold. So, yeah, I can totally see that as a triple threat Intercontinental, U.S. title match.
What do you think is going to happen, Zach?
I didn't think about that, but, yeah, I mean, that does give KO something to do then. You know, a lot more multi-man matches on WrestleMania. Yeah, I feel like I'd rather. I don't know. That's a really good match.
I mean, I think
that's a really. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that we might be headed towards, before we jump ahead to Raw, what do you think about the way that Austin Theory took that RKO?
Dude! That motherfucker was in flight. Him and Grayson Waller, I thought, took the RKO and the stunner
He took it
well.
He took it really, really well, but I was also like, all right, cool your jets a little bit.
Man, look, if you're Austin Theory, this is what you got. Yeah. And you got to make the best of this chicken shit salad that you get served up every week.
Yeah, he's on TV every week. What do you think of it, Zach?
It cracked me up. But yeah, it really is watching people, how they take like RKOs and stunners. It's very entertaining because it seems like just such a simple bump, like especially the RKO, you just land on your face. But yeah, how they get into it sometimes, it's just it makes me. I always think that move is very silly in kayfabe anyway. Like, why are you going to do a somersault before you do the clothesline? And this just proves it. Like, if in kayfabe, it'd be great if he was just doing the stupid move just to build up to getting RKO'd and be like, yeah, I really shouldn't do that anymore.
I mean, that's why I always think about the 619. It's like, how come in no other matches do guys just fucking lay on the second rope?
Yeah, exactly.
Good point.
But, I wouldn't be surprised to see a triple threat match in the Gunther, in the Intercontinental match either, moving over to Raw. I mean, we're supposed to have a gauntlet match next week to see who his challenger is. They're really telling a story. It seems like they're telling a story with Chad Gable and Sami Zayn both. I mean, is it impossible that we get a triple threat match for that?
It's not on the same night, so I guess that would be my only objection to a second triple threat match. As long as you made it make sense where somehow they both, being Sammy and Chad Gable, both fell in a scenario where they both pinned each other's shoulders on the mat. That's the only thing I can think of. It's not like it's a battle royal where both feet can land on the ground at the same time. It's pinfall or submission. So that's the only way I can see that happening, where you get into a scenario where both guys are pinning each other, and now you have beef going forward.
Zach, did I over triple threat myself?
No, I mean, it is WrestleMania season. That's just kind of how it works. And they are really telling something with Gable, even though, we've talked about it. A guy like Gable usurping Gunther, and man, what a match, they've had. And it almost feels like that ship had sailed, but then it's like they're coming back to it. 'Cause, they were telling that story for a minute. So I don't know. It is. I'd be fine with it.
Jason, I've hijacked your account.
No.
What else happened?
I was going to say, Negro, please. To open up Raw, Seth and Cody opened it up. Basically, it's full circle now how things have totally changed, where about a year ago, I remember Cody taking off his jacket and looking at the most gruesome bruise I've ever seen in my life, in real life, not even kayfabe at this point. And now you look at Raw on Monday night, they've come full circle, almost seeing buddy, dare I say friends at this point. Really weird to see, but that's a great thing about wrestling. We're telling a story, and that's a good thing about this part. They have not decided whether or not they are going to accept the challenge. We'll see tomorrow night as Cody and Seth travel over to SmackDown land. Becky versus Nia, you have Liv Morgan coming out, and...
Hold on.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I got to talk about Seth for a second.
Please.
Kind of got mad at Seth with that diarrhea Dwayne thing. That was really bad. That sucked really bad. Kind of mad at how bad it sucked.
It was Vince. That's some Vince era writing.
Yes, very much so.
Right when they hired back Bruce Pritchard, huh?
It was suffering succotash all over again. Not a fan of it. For Seth, I expect more. He can work the mic and he can talk.
You can't if you're going up you can't out-rock The Rock.
Most people can't.
And shame on you, San Antonio, for chanting diarrhea. You people should be absorbed by fucking Mexico. Get the God damn. Take them out of the country.
How big of a
I love
shrapnel?
Mexico, by the way.
You love what?
Mexico.
You ain't shit.
I wasn't a shot at Mexico.
No, clearly not. That's some huge shrapnel going on the whole city of San Antonio. From there, Andrade.
Be better.
I'm sorry. Andrade comes back. He beats Apollo Crews. I'm not even sure where the fuck they got Apollo Crews from, but it was just sad to see him take the L on his first trip back. Judgment Day beats Imperium. Sammy beats Ivar. We talked about the six-man gauntlet match, and then the main event, Drew McIntyre continues his ironic tour down heel road, getting more assistance from the Bloodline in this case. Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso both interfere in the match. I'll be the first to admit it. By the end of this, I was worked up. I was like, okay, Jimmy needs his ass whipped. I'm sick of this motherfucker. He running around here with this goofy ass smile, and every time I look up, he fucking over his brother. He need to get his ass whooped. I'm ready for that match.
Jimmy being the cocky guy who's in the big faction, but's not the big guy
at all,
but thinking he is pretty funny.
Now I'm like, you have got me worked up. I'm ready for that brother versus brother match.
Yeah, he's starting to redeem himself from that terrible, I forget what pay-per-view it was, where he pulled Jay out.
SummerSlam.
Was it SummerSlam? Yeah. It's been that long. It's taken a while for him to come back around for me, but him like always smiling and cheesing and acting like big dog.
He the quarterback.
And then Solo, who's like the younger brother, is just like stone faced and always looking at him like he's a fucking
Rock
idiot.
was like, even look at Solo. Even Solo's happy. That's his happy face.
you know, Solo had to do everything
in his power not to laugh.
He had to, and then he
wiped his face.
He wiped his face, and I was like, oh yeah, he's like, The Rock was trying to break him. The Rock was trying to break him.
Totally. I'm like, dude, this motherfucker is on a roll. God damn, I love The Rock.
Once Solo smiles, though, he's a baby face.
Oh, forever. He can never smile.
He can never smile.
Ever.
They were chanting his name too.
He didn't smile when they did Usi.
No, he was good.
I was there.
I was getting ready to say it
He
looked
didn't
like he
move.
wanted to break. I was like, everybody else is just like,
Even Roman lost it.
crumbling amongst everything. That's one of the greatest fucking seconds of all time in St. Louis. Thank you very much. But nonetheless, that motherfucker didn't break on Friday night. Solo is he's a fucking stone-faced motherfucker. God bless him for it. Just a couple of little quick tidbits I wanted to throw out there. Io Sky crossing paths with Rhea Ripley on Raw, and then on Friday night crossing paths with Jade, even though that was with Damage Control. I'm not saying it means anything, but teases down the line, especially, at least in my opinion, with the Rhea Ripley Io Sky tease. I think that's going to happen at some point again. They're going to get on another show. We're going to have another draft. Same way with Jade. Somehow, some way, I think they're going to be on the same show. Hell, all three of them can be on the same show as far as I'm concerned. That's a great start to a women's division, if you ask me. Nonetheless, two separate teases with EO. I'm not saying it means anything, but just interesting to talk about.
Go ahead, Zach.
Please no more drafts. I mean, change it up, sure, but God, I hate the drafts.
Rey Mysterio borrowed the fake crutch from Hangman Page and came out and beat the hell out of Legado del Fantasma with it. I'm into this story. Where are you at on it, Zach?
Yeah, it is fun.
It's really
Legado,
good mid-card shit.
Yes, absolutely. That's the perfect way to describe it. You need, on a variety show, it's 5 hours a week. It can't all be Bloodline. Can't all be Judgment Day. You need some mid-card stuff, and those guys can wrestle. So
I see that being like a 4-on-4 LDF versus LWO kind of a match on WrestleMania somewhere.
Yeah.
They always got to put the ethnic groups together, though. So,
that's true.
It's like, why can't, like, Bobby Lashley and I almost said Private Party. Bobby Lashley and them guys.
You forgot what they're called.
I did.
I can't get out of this chair so fast.
Street Profits. Why can't they wrestle Legado,
Them niggas all look the same. No big deal. Shit.
I mean, those gimmicks are pretty similar.
It's all scheduled through catering.
I mean, Private Party and Street Profits, I've probably almost done that before. So Heyman is your first inductee into the class of 2024. Makes sense. They're going to be in Philadelphia. Expect the EC dub chance to last for about an hour.
Yeah.
I bet Heyman is going to tell a carny ass stories on the. He's going to have a carny ass speech.
Obviously, well deserved.
Dude is a carny.
This might be one of the few Hall of Fame speeches that I will actually watch.
Pack a lunch.
Hey, man, I ain't going nowhere. Fuck it. I ain't going to watch all of them. I'll just say this. Just on a personal level, Miss Elizabeth is someone that just needs to get in.
We're not going to do this every year,
yeah, hell yeah. Until she gets in, I'm banging the drum. Miss Elizabeth, HOF.
Zach, what'd you think?
I mean, I think the WWE Hall of Fame's bullshit, and I don't give a shit about any of it. But Heyman's a Hall of Famer.
There you go. You heard it from the journalist, from the source. Anything else about WWE?
Main roster, no. We could talk about NXT on odds and ends.
All right, let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
2 beer. What's the 2 count?
You're welcome, 2 beer.
Yeah, thank you. 2 count was, we'll just do early contender for show of the year. Spoiler alert for my letter grade here, but man, this was a fantastic card. Talking to AEW Revolution, and fun little pre-show match, 12-man, but nothing to speak of. But Bang Bang Scissor Gangs out there versus speaking of carnies, just I think it was the cast of Carnival that they wrestled.
Jesus Christ.
And that's a dated reference. But
I can't believe you would talk about Double J like that.
Shit.
But I mean, this really served its purpose. Like, it was fun. Like, I was like hyped for the show, and like, it was just a fun match. Willie Mack takes the pin from Jay White. I mean, put Jay White on the pre-show in a 12-man. At least he's pinning somebody. I mean,
okay, God damn. What did my boy do?
Yeah.
Shit.
He had a good segment on Dynamite.
Yeah, and we got a vignette from the Bastard Pack, so he's back from injury, and that's going to be just another guy that I completely fucking forgot about, who's a fantastic wrestler. I mean, Pack versus Okada, what? Anyway, yeah, Okada just fucking laying into him on Dynamite. Sometimes be so good. And Julia Hart, Sky Blue versus Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. This was totally fine. Willow pinned Sky Blue. It was the better of the two women's matches on the show. Let's just say it that way. And in the main show, got rid of those. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about those, but that's
Didn't watch
what happened.
I watched them. I just Bang Bang Scissor Gang has just got to go.
You said Jay White pinned Willie Mack, and I was like, he pinned who? Like, who the fuck was in that match?
Dude.
I'm
watching it. I'm like, none of these guys together makes sense. Bang Bang Scissor Gang, it shouldn't even be.
Oh, was Double J in it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All
All
right. Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Willie Mack, Private Party. And
Satnam Singh.
Yeah. Satnam Singh. He was the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, the show opener, the curtain jerker, was the Patriarch Christian Cage with versus Daniel Garcia. And, I mean, just a super fun 4-star match to open the show. I mean, this was just like 4-star or higher matches, like up and down this card for the most part. And this is just a great way to open the show. There's a lot of fuckery going on because Nick Wayne's out there, Mother Wayne's out there, Kill Switch is out there. I think it's the first time I've actually called him Kill Switch, but
Look at you.
I know I'm growing as a journalist and a person. But
Edge
Garcia,
versus Luchasaurus. I mean, that's probably what I said. It was Adam Copeland versus Killswitch.
That's great.
Yeah. But there's some near falls here. Daddy Magic gets a run in, to help out Garcia because he's outnumbered. Lots of outside the ring fuckery, but Daddy Magic's nipples weren't hard enough to secure Daniel Garcia a victory, and he ends up losing.
Yeah, I'd love. This was a really good match. I was surprised to see it as the curtain jerker, but nonetheless, had a lot of fun with it. Felt like the crowd bought into a couple of those near falls more than I did. I think the crowd was hot. The crowd was good all night, and the crowd was rooting for Danny Garcia. He's over, and Christian's over as a heel.
Now, no real surprises here per se. It's good to see Daniel Garcia get his shine a little bit, but this was obviously a transitional match onto what happened on Dynamite. Christian just doing the Lord's work. I can't sing his praises long enough, strong enough, loud enough. It's been a good heel run so far, and knock on wood, he retains on Wednesday night.
Yeah, we can make it just an AEW count just for the sake of brevity. Super fun with him on Wednesday when he's running away from Adam Copeland and he steals a vehicle and he commits Grand Theft Auto, and then as he's driving away, he holds the title belt out the window. Oh my god!
Oh shit!
I'm also a big fan of the 10 adjectives that show up on the big screen when his entrance comes in. It's like paternal, wise, caring, understanding.
Okay, I'm like, none of these motherfucking adjectives describe Christian Cage.
It's really good.
So good. Damn.
We gotta make fun of something here soon because this has just been all of it. It's been a lot of gushing. It was a really good week for wrestling.
You want to talk about Bang Bang Scissor Gang again?
Yeah.
I could throw something up we could all talk about dirty.
A variety show.
Well, I mean, it ain't gonna happen now because this is gonna be Gush Hard 2, Gush Harder. with the Continental Crown Championship match. Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. This would have been the match of the night on most cards. It was not on this one.
No.
But, I mean...
And it was really good.
Yeah.
It was so goddamn good. I mean, I would say they beat the shit out of each other, and they did to a certain extent. But really, Bryan Danielson just spent most of the time beating the shit out of Eddie Kingston. That was the match. Kingston chopped the post. Bryan worked over the arm. Kingston also did a dive outside early where he so kind of like Bryan was working the leg too, but mostly he was working the arm in this. This was pretty good stuff. A lot of heat. The crowd was very much into it because it was fucking awesome. Because of Danielson choking out Kingston the previous week and because he took most of the match, I feel like it took it to where it was a little bit more telegraphed that like Kingston was winning. But it was a A+ match. 5-star match, I'd say. A+ ending segment where after Kingston, gives Bryan Danielson a power bomb, and then he does like what's that, high stack power bomb, high stack pin. He's standing there waiting for the handshake. Danielson acts like he's not going to give it to him, but he finally gives him a handshake, gives him a bow, and then they cut a fantastic backstage promo, which was on the internet, but that's just shit you should play on TV because it was great, where they're back there getting iced up and checked out after the match, and Kingston's like voice is cracking because he's so emotional, saying how much he appreciates Bryan shaking his hand because he doesn't give a shit about what the fans think, but he's like, but thank you fans for, showing up and paying the money and everything. He's like, but it's really about the boys,
Yeah, it's all about the boys. I wasn't even gonna say anything about that. I forgot about it actually. Let me start. Let me start with just a slight negative thing, and it's not about what you think it's about. It's that the crowd, and I don't even think this is Danielson's fault, but the crowd wants to cheer Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danielson loves playing a heel. And there's something just kind of off about his presentation because he's just too over as a babyface that he's having a hard time getting booed. And I think that's a result of him announcing that there was only 1 year left. And I think he's rescinded that by now, but he said it on TV, and I think he rescinded it off TV. And I think people kind of still see this as a farewell tour. And if he's going to stick around longer, that's a minor nitpick. I'll say that what pushed this match for me from 4.5 or 4.75 to 5 stars, and we don't say this very much about AEW, maybe we should say it more, was the story. There was actual stakes to this match, and it wasn't the belt. It was whether or not Danielson was going to shake Eddie Kingston's hand. Now, maybe you want the belt to be a bigger deal in a match like this, but, man, there's a backstory to it, and I was invested into the match, which is easy with Danielson matches, but it wasn't just good just as a wrestling match, which, of course, it was. The build was good. There's actual, like, story in the background of all this kayfabe story, and the backstage promo that Zach referred to also took advantage of that in a really big way. Yeah, I love the match. I love all Danielson matches.
Didn't see the backstage promos, but that sounds on point. I definitely would want to see the what's up. Oh, okay, okay, then even better. I can watch it later on. I'd really like to see what Danielson has said after the match, but I'll check that out later. I'll say this about Danielson and just the fan reaction. I don't think if he'd have never said that this was his last year, I still think he would get the same reaction because he's just over. People like Danielson. Just no two ways around it. I don't care he did some dastardly shit up to this point. He's talking about kicking people's faces in, and people still cheer for him. So, me personally, I don't think it has anything to do with him being this last year or not his last year. I didn't hear that either, but if it's not his last year, great. I want to see him wrestle some more. Okada's come back, so you're going to have a tiebreaker at some point. We need to see that before he retires or if he does it. I don't care. The third thing is the title versus the handshake, which is more important for me. It has never been about the title. At least this title, the Continental Crown, has never really felt very important since the end of the tournament. The Eddie Kingston's matches, his opponents haven't been to the variety of Danielson, where this was the first time where I was like, oh, he might actually lose this shit. So when he won, that was great, but I wasn't like, okay, it's time to go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? Is he going to go ahead and get the handshake in? And then when Danielson played him at first, I was like, you punk motherfucker. How you going to play this dude like this?
Danielson might have been saying some heel stuff, like, I'm going to kick people's faces in. But you know what he never did? Never ate another man's wife's blueberries.
That's your 101 shit. That's that real shit. No, it was, for me, it was more about the handshake than anything else. It was, when I finished the match, I was like, okay, I thought we saw the match of the night, and it was pretty early. I was like, damn, that's kind of early for, to have this crescendo, but.
Wrong.
Zach, what was next?
Next was a match that did not have any business being good, but it was quite good. Very fun. Lots of crazy moves. This was the All-Star 8-man scramble with Hook, Brian Cage, Dante Martin, Chris Jericho, Lance Archer, Magnus, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Wardlow. What a motley crew of individuals.
Yeah.
But, this ended up being real fun. They started out throwing the smaller guys out, and then they had, the big ones. They had Hobbs, Wardlow, Lance Archer, and Brian Cage in there kind of doing, a meat match where the crowd was chanting meat.
They managed to get the meat match in there because originally it was supposed to be Meat Madness or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't pick this last week on predictions. I don't think it was finalized, and I think I just kind of glossed over it.
I would have picked Wardlow anyway. So.
I was going to say, everybody would have picked Wardlow, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I would have picked Wardlow.
Well, no, I did.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, Zach just admitted that he wouldn't have, so we got to give us.
we taking points off for you.
Your boy Zach had a perfect night.
I saw that.
Oh, nice.
Perfect predictions. Yep. And you and I both had 7 points. But well done, Zach. And Zach did not take the Tony Storm as the Stone Cold Lead Pipe Block of the Week either. He took Will Ospreay. We will get to that match later. Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah, Wardlow goes over. This was fun. It was predictable.
Yep.
I'll just say this, and we can move on to the next match. I think Wardlow could have been served a better way than just to be in a mosh pit of 7 other guys and himself to get this title shot. That's just me. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. If you looked at this lineup of 8 guys, there's really 2 or 3 to even have a chance.
It's like with Wardlow, it's like they sit back and think, what's the worst way we can get him to be where he's supposed to be?
God damn. Dude, he just ran y'all down twice on back-to-back episodes, and now you just proved him right. Powerhouse Hobbs shouldn't even be anywhere near Wardlow right now. If he's going to face, well, obviously he's going to face, Jesus Christ, I drew Samoa Joe on next Wednesday. Fine.
What about Magnus? Who does Magnus have incriminating pictures of?
I don't know.
He get in that match?
That Jericho, God bless you.
Jericho. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Chris Jericho
I
had.
want to wrestle everybody in CMLL.
Okay, damn, then do that shit on fucking Collision. I don't care. It was just a weird, unconventional way to put Wardlow in a spot where we all thought he was going to be anyway to challenge for the AEW Championship.
He's just trying to relive his early 20s,
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like me when I turn on the Strokes.
I'm dead.
What was next?
Next was a fantastic match with Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong. And, this was what everybody would have hoped it was. And I don't mean Roderick Strong winning, although that was pretty cool. I feel like this is a fitting in. Cassidy comes out with his shit taped up, his ribs taped up, and I just keep dropping my earbuds. Sorry. He comes out with his ribs taped up against the messiah of the backbreaker, which is already problematic because this was Roddy Strong. Like, we haven't really seen him in AEW. This was this is like old school ROH, like NXT Roderick Strong. He was dominant. He was just throwing. And Orange Cassidy's not a big guy, so it really helps. Like, he was able to just throw backbreaker after backbreaker. And I think like he probably literally only did chops and backbreakers the whole match.
Ain't too far from true.
And he ends up winning the international title, ends Orange's fantastic run, and then Kyle O'Reilly, looking like he hasn't slept in 2 years.
What was he wearing, dude? Did he just get back from a float trip?
Oh, no.
He looks like he just came off the who's off.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was going to say rehab.
He's had 14 natural lights.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He had been in a canoe all day.
He had 2 different
He's
people
like
with socks on.
6 miles down the tributary of the Merrimack. Came straight there.
Oh, no.
He comes out and
He was trying to get there to
feel
talk to him backstage before the show, but it ran late.
He's been legitimately sick. I think he's on dialysis. He's got, I don't know about dialysis. He's got like type 1 diabetes. He's been like legitimately sick, plus injured.
Oh,
Oh, I
God.
thought it was a neck thing. He's sick
It was
too.
a neck thing, but he's like a type 1 diabetic. I know that's been a big issue
Oh,
with
I
him.
feel terrible.
Okay, see, that's what you
I
get.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Should
But
have
anyway,
done all those Jello shots.
You know you got diabetes, Kyle. God, that's terrible. But anyway, he comes out of the crowd, and it seems like he's like kind of playing like he's gonna attack Roddy, and then he gives him a hug, and then dude, this was so good. I think it was Matt Taven. One of them takes off his shirt, Matt Taven, or
I think it was Taven.
yeah, Taven, and he hands him his shirt, and like the crowd's like silent because they're like kind of holding their breath, wondering like, is he gonna take the shirt? Is he gonna accept it? And I just hear one guy yell in the crowd. He says, "Matt Taven, you got no ass." Just like,
Shut the fuck up.
so good. Anyway, he politely declines the shirt, and he walks off. So yeah, very emotional moment. But yeah, great match, great moment afterwards. Cool debut, or re-debut.
Yeah, I love this match. It was great. I've always been a big proponent of Roderick Strong in ring. Don't even know how his finisher works. Like, I don't get it. It looks fucking really gnarly. Love this match. I just think with the Kinesio tape, like, it just gives the guys a target.
I think it. Well, obviously,
that was kayfabe style.
Kayfabe style.
Indeed.
Obviously, it was a target, and to me, it was the one, I guess, tease, signal, whatever word you want to call it, that Orange was going to lose this match when they did the backstage segment, and the doctor was like, "No, you can't. You're not going to be able to wrestle unless you put this tape on you." I was like, "Oh, yeah, there it is." So at least I won't say it gives Orange an out, but it protects Orange a little bit. Like Bo was saying, that backbreaker off the top was one of that motherfucker was one of the gnarliest moves I seen all night until Will Ospreay and Takeshita decided to hold everybody's beer and decided to just try to kill each other, but we'll get to that in a second. I thought this was probably the second, up to this point, it was the second best match of the card, just before the fact that it didn't feel predictable. The right guy went over, and the way he went over, I agree with Three Beer on this one. It felt like he took advantage of another ran down Orange Cassidy. Right place, right time, one clean, which is always great to see a heel do. Now you can go back and start healing the shit up next week.
Yeah, I mean, I give that like 4.75. It was great. And then the tag match after this was Blackpool Combat Club, which is Claudio and Moxley versus FTR. And this one started out, I mean, the whole match was very good. Like, wrestling wise. But the heat was a little weird because just like Bill was talking about with Danielson, nobody really wants to boo Claudio or Moxley, like especially Moxley, but they play the heels, and but they're just mean guys in the ring, and fans really like that. Like they like whenever they're beating them up, and based on where this was like FTR country, but I feel like it took the crowd a little while to kind of really get behind FTR. But they had Heat come back. It was good as far as the psychology the crowd got there. It was very surprising. It seemed that not that Blackpool Combat Club went over, but they had a double submission finish. And I feel like Blackpool Combat Club's probably taken like a full sweep on all of their matches that they've had. So this was a fantastic tag team match, though. I mean, I don't know if it was incredibly memorable as far as like a classic match, but it was just a great match on a card. 4.5-star tag match. It was great.
I mean, you see these guys wrestle a lot. And I think that there's kind of a formula to FTR matches. And I think that we see FTR wrestle 20, 25, 30-minute matches all the time. It's hard for them all to stand out. They're all at a level that is unbelievably high. But it's almost too much of a good thing. Am I crazy?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But I think that they've flooded the market with FTR matches. They've really flooded the market with John Moxley matches too. I mean, he wrestles all the fucking time.
Okay.
It's just not that rare.
Okay.
And I know that the answer to this is Cassidy's not rare either. But Roderick Strong doesn't wrestle very much, and I mean that was a match that we hadn't seen really. I don't know.
I think Roddy Strong is about to start ramping up his work schedule here in a little bit. That's just me. I can't say that there's too much of FTR tag matches. For me, when we started,
that they lost.
That was the only surprise. I wasn't jaw drop surprised, but I was like, oh, okay, shit. Are we telling an FTR redemption story? That was the first thing I thought in my head when I saw it happen. It wasn't the upset of the year by any stretch of the imagination, but I was taking a step back.
It was like the jocks beating up the freshmen.
No, it wasn't that bad.
They'll probably beat them in the tag tournament.
Okay, and that's until Wednesday, I wasn't sure how it was going to happen, but in this scenario, BCC gets the win. It kind of goes against my old, the tag team should always beat the two individuals, but these two individuals are pretty fucking good. They're good together. So in this scenario,
they're a tag team.
They are not a tag team, okay? John Moxley's getting ready to go wrestle Naito in about a month up in Chicago for the IWGP Championship. Let's not act like they're a tag team.
They wrestle as a tag team all the time.
Okay.
They wrestle more than any of the other two BCC members together. They wrestle a lot.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but let's not act like they're a tag team. Okay,
they even have a name.
Yeah, they do have a name. They're the Blackpool Combat Club.
They're not Claudio and Cesaro. I'm sorry, Cesaro and Sheamus. They're not the Bar. Okay,
they're the Blackpool Combat Club.
You want to call them Bleeding in Sweden or something?
Yes. If you want to say that. If you want to put them, let's get a fucking a Swedish flag and do it half and half with red on one side and the official Sweden colors on the other side. We'll sell it like hotcakes. You're welcome, Tony Khan. Bleeding in Sweden. There you go. So now, if you want to label them that, now they're a tag team. Now we're good. Okay.
Did you just make that up on
Hell
the
yeah,
spot?
he did.
You heard that. Yeah. You heard that here first. Episode 350. Bleeding in Sweden.
That's amazingly fucking funny.
You made that up on the spot.
Yeah, I think he's actually from Switzerland.
He is. That makes it better. That makes it better. Oh, we are called Bound and Bleeding in Sweden from now on. That is their name. That is so good.
Man, I'm going to tell you what. Everybody say Carmelo Hayes don't miss. Zach Pullman don't miss. That nigga don't miss.
It's so
Swerve
good.
in my glory.
What's next?
Next was the unfortunate circumstance of Tony Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo. And this is, just like you were talking about Daniel Bryan, but almost exacerbated. Tony Storm is such a babyface because everybody loves her gimmick. And they just need to lean into that and stop putting her against supposed baby faces because it just ruins the whole heat and psychology of the matches. And this was not a bad wrestling match, but the whole psychology was so thrown off, and it came after a string of very incredible matches, and also nobody thought that Deonna was actually going to beat Tony Storm. So I did really enjoy the intro where Mariah May came out. They did the heart sounded music, and Mariah May came out dressed like the old Tony Storm, like when she showed up in AEW. And I thought it was Tony Storm at first.
I mean, for 15 seconds, I was like, is that Tony? What the fuck? Oh, God damn it. You got me, TK. All right, nigga. Pound you up. You got me.
It seems like Mariah's going to use that gimmick now, too, because on Wednesday she had it. They're going to be doing the Tony Awards with an I so that they don't get sued. What did you guys think? This is the worst match in the show, but that's not really their fault.
No, it's not. You're right about the Tony Storm heat. It is weird. Yeah, I was into this build. I thought they did a good job of making Deonna Purrazzo seem like a big enough deal to be fighting her. But the outcome was never in doubt.
Yeah, the reason for this story was great. And the build was really good. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing to me. Well, not the biggest thing, but one of the things coming up to the match is that the build was good. It got me invested and kept me all the way up until the physical match itself. By the time the bell rang, I kind of knew what was happening. Obviously, Bill and I made this our lock of the week, but Deonna Purrazzo is not a babyface to me. She acts like a heel when she does like the hand wave, kind of get out of my face, come into the ring. That's baby faces don't do that. Heels do that. So if you wanted to do this match, she should have been more of a heel and just let her heel it up. And then, Tony can win. Ultimately, this is boiling down to Mercedes Moné, Tony Storm coming up here in a little bit. I'm assuming that's where your big business comes in next week. Mercedes crashes the Tony Awards and starts the feud up that way. But this was just unfortunate for Deonna. Wrong place, wrong time. But the follow-up is more important than that. We didn't think that she was going to beat Tony Storm, but now what do you do with Deonna Purrazzo? We're starting to get, the big-time names on both the men's and the women's side. So, like I said before, when you add somebody on the front end, other people on the back end start to take the slide. And I'm going to wonder if Deonna Purrazzo, so quickly, it would be a surprise, but I wouldn't be totally stunned, I guess, better choice of words, if Deonna Purrazzo took a back step and was challenging for the TBS title going forward.
Yeah, no doubt. Because we all know it's business. It's business time.
Come on, girl, it's business time.
So next we had Konosuke Takeshita versus Will Ospreay, and this would be the match of the night on any card for the most part. Very few cards, and actually, I'd say the majority of them in modern wrestling, it would just because Will Ospreay was already in another match that night. Because goddamn, and I not to take anything away from Konosuke Takeshita because going in, no, we all knew that this was going to be a banger. Everybody, I think, on this podcast, and I think a lot of people. If you weren't buying the show for Sting, this is like a thing where you would buy a show to watch because you knew that this thing was going to deliver, and boy, did it. Don Callis was on commentary, which was awesome, but that didn't necessarily enhance what they did. They could add no commentary, and it would have just been phenomenal. Just very athletic. There were a couple moments whenever I like jumped out of my seat with this match, which is just not something that happens all that often. And one of them was whenever Takeshita countered like the Oz Cutter into a fucking Blue Thunder Bomb that he spun around like an extra time for.
Yeah.
And the other one was the when he did like the suplex on the turnbuckle and it got kind of fucked up and Ospreay's back landed on the turnbuckle and he landed on his head and you could just see like this nasty just scrape all down his side, which is like a super like tender area on your body. I was like, oh my god. This thing was
That was a
phenomenal.
botch though, right?
That was a botch. It wasn't supposed to go like that.
Right.
But yeah, Ospreay wins. Makes sense. It's his debut as a main guy, as a signed talent in AEW. He's also never lost anyway, but this is like his debut as a signed guy. Yeah, pulled out all the stops, and they also had a banger, which we can talk about, unless you want to wrap it all together, just as a Will Ospreay Jizz session with main event with Kyle Fletcher. Just TV main event, and there were a couple spots in that match where I was just absolutely nuts. You do the thing like the suplex off the top where you land on your feet is great. Like so many poison ranas and so many like athletic things where like Fletcher.
Let's call it for what it is. It was the second best AEW match this week.
Yeah,
fucking Ospreay versus Fletcher. It was he had the two. That match with Kyle Fletcher and Dynamite was as good as anything on the pay-per-view except for the other Will Ospreay match. Danielson Kingston is the other one that I would say.
Fair.
Sure. But look at our match of the year candidates last year. It was all just Will Ospreay matches. Like, we might as well just have a beefer for best match that Will Ospreay wasn't in.
I mean, seriously.
I'm sorry, because as far as I'm concerned, this is my match of the year right now.
Fletcher?
No,
Takeshita.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is your match of the year?
Right now.
Maybe.
Man, look. With nothing on the line.
Did you watch Yujiro Yano?
Hey, man. Don't make me come over there, dog.
The opening match of the New Japan Cup?
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Yes, Negro. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You wasted like 10 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
It's probably the match of the year.
It's probably the match of the year. I mean,
I really like Danielson Sabre.
I like it too.
That's the other contender.
But that wasn't this.
Yeah, I mean, it probably wasn't.
It was physically different.
Ospreay and Takeshita together, they are freak athletes.
Right.
Ospreay is really fucking quick, man. And that's why when he knows how to design a match so that the last 5 minutes, it's that New Japan Okada fucking style where the last 5 minutes
stretch
is insane. Just reversal. I mean, they'll do like 8 or 9 reversals in a row and big moves and shit. It was tremendous.
Takeshita is a decathlete, and I know Don Callis says it all the time, but you can see it in the ring when he performs in the ring. He's one of the few people, I'm not going to say that Kyle Fletcher can keep up with Will Ospreay, but he damn sure
he ain't far behind.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say he damn sure is somewhere in that vicinity thereof. Takeshita is a different kind of athlete. It's a damn shame that somebody had to lose. In this case, it's Takeshita. Not saying I'm worried about him, but I'll need to see, just throw him a bone for a little bit. Just, appease me, because, I mean, you can't have that talent and not have him go over a little more. That's all I can ask. That's the only thing I can say about this that was wrong, that somebody had to lose. Outside of that, like I said, to me, this is the match of the year so far.
I picked Takeshita, and I think you guys kind of thought I was crazy, and I was. I mean, it to me, there was always a sliver that Takeshita was going to win, but after I started, when the match started, I was like, fuck, Ospreay's going to win.
Yeah, I mean,
that doesn't take away from it.
Not too many people pin Kenny Omega, let alone, like twice in a week.
And in that scenario, it's not your prediction wasn't too unfounded. Kenny Omega was in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
So,
man, they should just have like Takeshita to go over Okada.
dude, I was
wanna see him
thinking that. Oh, yeah, they're going to wrestle.
You know what? I haven't even that match has never even popped in my head until right now. That was the first time I've ever even thought about that.
Shit. That was one of the matches I thought of right away. Give me a break.
You're a mark.
Yeah, got guilty as charged. Go ahead, 3 Beer.
Unfortunately for the world title match, it had to follow that match.
Pretty tough.
Son of a bitch.
It's a tough beat.
But, you know, they didn't take – everybody loves all three of these guys so much that it really didn't take them too long to get the crowd back, which is a testament to that crowd and also a testament to the talent of these guys.
Yeah, they got him back. They did. I even wrote it down. It was like the 12, 13 minute mark. That crowd was into it.
Yeah, I mean, really good, you know, three-way stuff. You know, the finish was, you know, they kind of wanted to play it off where, you know, Joe was choking Hangman and Swerve was about to break it up, but Hangman tapped out, and they kind of played it off on commentary like maybe he tapped out to screw Swerve out of the title, like, I'm going to make sure that you don't get this title. But he didn't really have like a visual on him or anything. So I don't know how accurate that is. It's a fun story to tell. If they were doing that, I'd rather like Paige be in like the choke and like give Swerve like the middle finger and then like tap out or something. I don't know. But I also love that they incorporated the story of Hangman's like suspension. He just fully beat the ref up like House of Torture style.
They did just say
shit out of him.
They did just say he's suspended from the Elite, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think he's also taken some time off. So I think the idea that he's like suspended is kind of a way to write it off. Also, brilliant shit because him being kicked out of the Elite, along with Omega, allows those two to come back and feud with Okada and the Bucks. Yeah. Which, like, I mean, the Bucks versus Okada and Hangman was already the best tag match I've ever seen in my life. Like, let's do it again, boys. Anyway, this was super fun, but it would have been the match of the night on a lot of shows, just not tonight.
Go ahead.
I loved it. I was way into it. Swerve is over as he has eased into this character, and he hasn't left he's left all the right things on the cutting room floor. He's a really easy guy to root for. The crowd was way into him. Joe came off fucking bad ass. Loved it. Right guy went over too.
Hangman to me, yeah. I don't want Joe's story to end just yet. Hangman to me is kind of the story of the match. You know, we kind of knew what Swerve was all about. You didn't think he was going to take the L. Knew what Joe was all about. Like you said, Bad Mama Jamma. Knew he was going to retain. Just didn't know what was going to be coming out of Hangman Page in this scenario. I don't necessarily agree with commentary that he took the tap out to screw over Swerve. Like I like the 3 Beer example. You know, if he wanted to do it like that, maybe throw up the middle finger and then tap out, or maybe tap out immediately. Just to make sure that Swerve doesn't have a chance to break it up. Maybe if you had one of those scenarios, I would believe it a little more. Neither here nor there. This was a good match, no question about it. You got 3 great talents in the ring. You know, like you said, the only bad part about this match is just it followed behind, to me, my match of the year. So it took a little bit to get everybody in, but ultimately, I thought this was, when it got started, I thought this was a really good match. Arguably second, third match of the best match of the night, depending on what you like, whatever the case may be. But Joe retaining was right on point. Swerve not taking the pin, right on point. And even if Hangman, let's just say for the sake of argument, Hangman was staying around, it's good for him to take this L because now this will propel him more down the heel road if you wanted to go that route. If not, you could have the two-beer example of him and Omega come back and feuding with the Bucks. So you got options with Hangman Page. Me, I still want to see him and Swerve get at it, but that to me is just a really good feud, and I just don't want it to stop.
Yeah, and then we had the real main event. This was what everybody was really buying the show for the most part. It was and showing up in Greensboro, packing that Coliseum. We had Sting's final match. Starts out, him in an empty theater, and they're doing this big montage of a lot of clips from his past. They were able to show some WCW stuff just from pictures from like Pro Wrestling Illustrated and stuff like that, but they didn't have any footage. So WWE, didn't let them use any footage, but they still put together a pretty moving vignette. And after, Sting leans in and he says, "It's showtime." And crowd goes nuts. Sting's music hits. What's that?
Bo did an impression of you getting a boner.
No, it was more than a boner, motherfucker. About to say, clean up on aisle 3.
Nice.
Maps of Hawaii were everywhere in your house, weren't there?
Sting's music hits, and then Surfer Sting comes out, and I'm like, holy shit. But no, it was Sting's adult son, dressed like Surfer Sting, looking great. And then Wolfpack Sting comes out, and it's Sting's other son. And then they play Metallica's Seek and Destroy, and Crow Sting comes out, and it's the real Sting. And they come out, and then they just beat the shit out of the Young Bucks as a group. Just 4 baby faces doing stinger splashes on the Young Bucks for like a couple minutes. It was great. One of Sting's sons is the tall Wolfpack one, jumped halfway across the ring.
For a while, I was like, are they gonna fight the whole match?
I know. Yeah.
Like I say, something happened to Darby?
Like, wait a minute. These guys, is it 4-on-2?
Yeah, because they were in there for a while, but they finally got out. But I mean, this match was absolutely everything it should have been. I mean, the Bucks are the perfect opponents for these guys. They didn't do any, flashy stuff. They just worked like chicken shit heels, and they just got beat up by Sting the whole time. Darby almost killed himself. That's one of the most insane spots I've ever seen. They had giant panes of glass that they laid out on chairs, and Darby jumped. I mean, he was at least probably 16 feet high, because he was in a very tall ladder that was in the ring, and he jumped to the outside through a pane of glass. And I mean, I was like, that looked like it hurt so bad. And then they showed him, and it was just little tiny cuts that just all started to bleed at the same time. And the
craziest
crowd
shit I've ever
just
seen in my
gasped.
life.
It was, this looked like a CZW show. But I mean, we had Ricky the Dragon Steamboat out there as a special commentator. Ric Flair was out there. Both of them taking bumps. Rick looked like he was dead.
Hey, man, stop that
He's
shit.
gonna die in the ring.
Come on, man.
Yeah, he's trying. But man, this was just so great overall. What a great send off. Sting just takes all of, they get the heat on him because it's 2-on-1 for a long time. He takes a lot of punishment, but he does the pound on his chest, comeback. And it was a great, happy ending to a fantastic show. I mean, this is one of the most memorable AEW shows, one of the most memorable wrestling shows I've ever seen. And I think that they absolutely nailed it with the main event.
Jason.
When I think of a party match, this wasn't this because this was a fucking train wreck. There was just so many just cringy spots where I'm like, don't do this. Nope, he's going to do this. Obviously, the Darby spot being the biggest of the bunch. Bucks playing the heels are always the best way to go about it. Like you, Three Beers said, great way to have them just kind of double team Sting on the throughout the match as Darby was incapacitated, and rightfully so, because I mean, I say it was like 20 feet, you know, it doesn't matter. It was a long way down. It was very little room for error. The fact that he did it and then it ends up coming back into the match, I'm just like, dude, get the fuck out of here, man. You deserve to take the rest of the night off. You can, I mean, Sting can take the Bucks by himself. We all know this. Neither here nor there. Nice little callback to the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair match where Shawn says, you know, I'm sorry, I love you. This time it's
Zach
like, we're not sorry, I hate you. Zach did call that. So, I mean, all the boxes were checked. Sting, you know, basically taking the Bucks out by himself. Check box on that as well. The only thing that I will say that was a downer on this match is they cut off Sting's farewell speech accidentally, I'm sure. Neither here nor there. I thought
he was out there shooting.
And say, oh, no, you don't. You ain't going to have us look like no fools tonight.
Sorry, Eddie Kingston, for using the insider stuff.
Eddie Kingston pulls it great.
Eddie Kingston pulled the plug.
No shit, that's great. No, I thought it was a great just way to send Sting off. As much as I bang on Tony Khan, and sometimes rightfully so, I think this is one of the things that I can never say that he did wrong. Sting went out the way that he probably should have. Like I said, for me as a wrestling mark, I thought Sting should lose, but that's just me. The old school way of me. I was not mad by any stretch of the imagination by the time this match ended. It ended probably the way it should have. Sting wins. He rides off into the sunset with confetti in the whole 9 yards.
Sting wanted to lose, apparently. He said that he asked to lose, but nobody would let him.
No, okay. Then I have one less complaint.
It never once felt like he was going to lose.
No.
Not from one. There was no way he was going to lose that match.
When he bounced back from the EVP's trigger, I was like, oh, yeah, that's definitely a wrap now. Y'all fucked up.
match was so good, Pat McAfee was talking about how good it was on Raw.
Couldn't believe that he said that.
And couldn't believe they allowed him to say that shit. I was like, okay.
You think they did?
You could tell Michael Cole was like, shut up. Like, Michael Cole was like, he was like, hey, congratulations to Sting. And Pat McAfee's like, did you see the match last night?
Yeah,
Michael Cole's like, oh, anyway.
It was an incredible match last night. And I couldn't believe they said that.
No.
I bet McAfee was not supposed to say that.
No. That's what happens when you have a Pat McAfee, though. Like, you're just going to get some stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it makes it better. It makes the show better.
Yeah, it makes it better.
Yeah, he's like, cool, go ahead. I'll go back to ESPN.
Yeah, I was going to say, what you going to do, fire me? You going to get Kevin Patrick back over here?
Yeah, I don't mind getting thrown away by a side girl.
I mean, listen, the Sting match was great. It was everything that I wanted it to be.
So over the top.
It was not the match. It wasn't even the match I was looking forward to the most on the card, but like when it came up, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, this is going to be fun. You knew that it was going to be fun. It was like the perfect amount of kickouts. I mean, it was dramatic down the stretch, even though I never felt like Sting was going to lose. It was really good. Sting was great when he took that double super kick and then just tilted his head back, tilted it back up, and beat his chest. I mean, that was that's some classic shit. And
they sung all the old classic Stinger tunes in one little match. It's a great way for him to go out. Like I said,
but that Darby spot is insane. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah,
I mean,
he needs to go climb Mount Everest and take some time off, homie. So I'll say, why don't you just take some plays off? So
yeah, I mean that is a bump
and a half
for the ages. I mean, that's one of the top 3 craziest bumps I've ever seen on a pay-per-view.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Shane coming off the top, Mankind getting thrown off the top. This, yeah, I can't take it. Like, Mankind, to me, still always will stand out because that was, like, the first time I ever seen some shit like that.
Yeah, that still seems to me like a rougher bump just because Mankind's, I mean, because he He didn't. It wasn't acrobatic. It was like he just fucking
No,
jumped
he just
off
he
the
just jumped. It
motherfucker.
was like praying to God and it worked.
You know, like
He's also
Darby.
twice as heavy.
And Darby did that probably as safely as
As
you
he could possibly do.
jump off of 16-foot ladder
Jesus
through panes of
fucking
glass
Christ.
and land on your back onto like barely padded concrete.
Who the fuck thought that was the move? Like, you know what we should do?
That's the safest way to do it.
It was the same people that set it up for when Angle was trying to throw Shane through the glass.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "Oh,
Okay.
you're still using the hockey glass?
Okay.
no, you
I
got to
mean,
go down to the left."
Was that real? That had to be real glass, right? That wasn't
Oh
a gimmick.
yeah. I totally think that was real.
Oh.
Why didn't he look into the camera and say, "You see that real glass"?
You stole my next one. You stole my
Cry me a
fucking.
river.
You son of a bitch! I hate you.
We'll get to Jungle Jack Perry in the odds and ends.
Oh my god!
But yeah, this match was everything that we wanted, everything that I wanted it to be. It was
no,
awesome.
it was the ultimate train wreck of train wrecks, and it was just you didn't want to look away because I didn't want to look away because I was scared I was going to miss something. So in this scenario. It over exceeded expectations. I didn't have a lot of expectations for it. I just wanted to see what happened.
Grade the pay-per-view.
A.
Yeah, A.
Yeah, it was an A. Zach, how do you feel as the Sting super fan? How are you with Sting's retirement?
I mean, if you look back on retirements in general, not a lot of guys get to go out like that, especially at his age. And I mean, it's one of the better end of career runs and one of the better retirements in wrestling history. I mean, without hyperbole, not even just being a big fan, you know, a lot of guys either have to stop because it's just sad, or you know, they wrap it up too quick, or they never get
They hurt.
an end of the
Well,
run.
I've
hurt.
heard a rumor that Sting is they're offering him a lot of money to fight Lex Luger in Saudi Arabia next
Dude,
summer.
Oh my
god
God.
damn, nigga. You ain't shit. Holy fuck. God damn. Dude, what the fuck's wrong with you?
So it might not be his last match.
Fuck you.
And word on the street, Luger's already in.
You ain't shit.
Also, I have to say, as a longtime Sting fan, it felt so vindicated, because like when I was growing up, like all it was Sting getting screwed over. He was getting screwed over by his friends. He was getting screwed over by booking. It was just Sting getting screwed over constantly, and he was like such a guy that you could always rely on. He was the franchise of WCW, and for him to like stand tall with like a guy that he's been with since the beginning, it was just such a perfect run that really was a foil to a lot of his career.
I'll say this, and then I'm gonna be done with AEW. We can move. You want to move on? We can.
Well, we should talk about Okada.
Yeah, we just talked about
I meant Revolution. I'm sorry. Always thought that Sting and Darby should have been the last match. Sting versus Darby. This was a very good replacement for Sting versus Darby.
Yeah, and then nothing that we haven't talked about on Dynamite that matters, except the amazing debut of Kazuchika Okada. I knew about it. I had it spoiled because I didn't watch last night, which is totally fine. But I still got chills, man. That coin drops. You know, they're beating up. Young Bucks are beating up on Eddie Kingston. That coin drops. He comes out. Just such presence, such star power. And, man, the Young Bucks were cracking me up before that anyway. Like, they kicked Hangman out. They kicked Kenny out. You know, Kenny's like, they're like, for no good reason. You haven't even just been showing up to work.
I'm like, man, you niggas ain't shit.
And he's like, I feel really bad that you might have had to hear this, you know, on live television, because I know you did, because we didn't tell you before this. But, and like Okada comes out, great move. Like they, you know, the crowd's like, it looks like, you know, him and Kingston are gonna fight the Bucks. He turns on Kingston. He's the cocky heel Rainmaker Okada that started out in New Japan as just like the cocky guy, and he does the Rainmaker pose, and Matt Jackson runs up behind him and like drips like some of the paper money that was coming down from the ceiling over top of him. I fucking howled. Great debut. And man, he's getting that money.
Was it 3 years, 14 million, something like that, if I read that right?
Yep.
I'll say this. I guess this is where I watch a little too much wrestling. I didn't know it wasn't spoiled for me, so let me just preface it by that. But when Okada came out, I had the same reaction. I know I badmouthed his ass, and I still don't feel any different. I think he should have took a little job or two on the way out of New Japan, but I still had that same little, I sprung up a little bit when I heard the coin drop. I was like, oh shit, okay, so here we go. The only thing that I thought was like, okay, why is he standing like behind Eddie? Shouldn't he help Eddie up? It wasn't helping Eddie up. It was standing kind of behind Eddie. I'm like, no. And then as soon as I'm like, no, he's not. And I'm seeing him reaching for Eddie. I'm like, oh shit. If he'd have cleanly done it, it'd have been much more impactful. And I'd have been like, oh yeah. But then he missed like a couple of times. I'm like, motherfucker, he's flipping heel. Hits him with the Rainmaker, which is, neither here nor there. Does the signal, the championship belt signal around his waist. That means that, to me, Eddie's going to drop into Okada, which works too. Eddie's gotten his run. He's beaten Danielson, Moxley, cardio. I mean, I'm not sure what more he can do at this point with this title. Pass it over to Okada seems like the right move to me. But I will say this. I did not see the Okada heel run from New Japan. I saw bits of it, but then he kind of, morphed into this baby face that we saw on the way out the door. So I'm really curious to see how much of a heel Okada can be in my head. Can he, get me converted to where he was a baby face at one point in my head? Now he's going to be this heel. He's paired with one of the good things is they're pairing him with a tag team that everybody kind of universally hates for some ungodly reason or another. So if you want to get heat on Okada, this is the perfect way to do it. Attack Eddie Kingston and pair him with the Bucks. For me, it's just going to take a little bit of time for me to adjust with this shit because I'm still New Japan in my head, and seeing Okada posing with the Bucks, I was like, oh, this is different. But no, I thought it was a good way for Okada to be introduced, and if you wanted to make him heel, this was the way to do it. So good on Okada. I'm curious to see what's next.
All right, yeah, that's AEW. That's the 2 count.
Did you want to talk about Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher now, or did you want to talk about Okada at all?
Sorry, yeah, I did want to say that Okada, bringing them in, I didn't hear what you guys said, but bringing them in as a heel was a smart move. I didn't see it happening in this segment, but when it happened in this segment, I was like, making him part of the Elite, it just puts him right into a story, and you can have dream matches, matches that you've been thinking of Okada having, but you can do it within the story. Like Zach said earlier, they immediately wrote Hangman and Omega into it pretty much. So, and Eddie Kingston, and I was like, part of me, and I'm a little biased against Eddie Kingston, not trying to be funny, but like he's not my guy. And I was like, the first guy he's gonna do the Rainmaker to is Eddie Kingston. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. That's their most over babyface. I mean, it's Eddie Kingston. I mean, the people love Eddie. It makes all the sense in the world. So I was really happy with it, and I popped for the coin drop because it was so unexpected.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, all right.
Say, ruh-roh, Raggy.
And I was watching it. I was watching it live. Had a relaxation sesh last night, just flipping between the NBA and wrestling. So it was.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it was a nice segment. I was happy with what happened, and it also makes sense bringing him in as a heel because Ospreay's your babyface. You can't bring in 2 guys like that and have them both be the same way.
You could, but it sets up a natural rivalry.
Then you drop Swerve down. It doesn't make any sense in my mind. But yeah, that's all I got. That'll do it for our 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, so for the 3 count, I want to talk about New Japan and the beginning of the New Japan Cup. And we don't have to talk too long about it. I sent you guys text messages after the first night where the matches were Yano versus Yujiro as your tournament opener, Yoshihashi versus Kenta, and Jungle Jack Perry versus Shota Umino. The big story coming out of this, and when I texted you guys, like, what the fuck is New Japan doing? Like, completely baffling. The first New Japan Cup match, having it be Yano versus Yujiro just seems, I mean, that seems like a fucking joke.
No, it was a joke, all right.
Like, you're going to fly Jungle Jack Perry all the way across the ocean to have him face Yano in the second round? That's who he's fighting, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to watch the fuck out of that match.
I was about to say, I don't even know why you talking shit. That's safe number one.
Sounds awesome, actually.
Jesus Christ. I don't know. It just.
But the big news coming out of it, which
Yeah,
is
that's gonna
also
say-
baffling, is Jungle Jack Perry is now a member of the House of Torture, who was prominent on this show.
Yeah, in good and bad, or bad and bad, depending on your perspective.
Bad and worse. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. For me, bad and worse. Yujiro Yano was what it was, full of fuckery, not a big deal. Jack Perry going over Shota Umino is more of the baffling booking that we've been seeing a lot lately from New Japan. I'm not sure why we're having some of our young stars taking steps back, some of the big stars that need to kind of help carry the banner for New Japan take steps back in situations where I don't think they kind of need to. I guess Jack Perry is. I don't know if Jack Perry's going to stay around or not. And even if he does, there's an easier way to have Shota Umino tell this story of, I guess, New Japan, or not New Japan, but House of Torture, making sure that he can't, get past them. They're always going to be around. Ren Narita, Evil, now Jack Perry. I didn't see it coming, and when it happened, I was like, well, goddamn, this shit just went from bad to worse. So, it is what it is.
Zach, what you think about Jack Perry joining House of Torture? The most feared stable in all of professional wrestling.
Dude, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
It's
fuck off.
On surface level, like, you're like, oh, we want this guy to get over as a heel and be hated. We're gonna put him with our most hated faction, but like House of Torture is hated for all the wrong reasons. Like, they don't have like good heat.
X-Pac had House of Torture heat. No,
yeah, exactly. This is not the way to, a Jack Perry on Excursion sounds phenomenal. And I guess, given him being a centerpiece of a major faction, like, sure. It all, like, on paper kind of seems good if you have, like, a different perspective on what House of Torture is. But
yes, exactly. House of Torture sucks so bad.
Yes.
Jack Perry's going to be in the G1, too.
Dude, fuck out of here. If he's in there before Josh Alexander, that's that bullshit. I'm not having that. Okay? G1 is a great time to get people over for those one-time, holy shit kind of, escapades. Who the fuck wants to see Jack Perry in the G1? Fuck out of here.
Me?
No, dude, shut the fuck up.
I'd watch it.
No,
what are you talking about?
3 beer.
That sounds cool.
I expect that from this one. I expect more from you.
You don't want to see Jack Perry fight all those dudes? Oh, come on.
Fight these balls, motherfucker. Hell no.
Balls? What the hell is going on now?
Let's say, hell no, I don't want to see Jack Perry for fucking 8 matches.
I think that's crazy. Who's more likely to be in the G1, Zach? Dolph Ziggler or Jack Perry?
Or JCB's balls?
More likely Jack Perry. I hope they're both in it, but more likely Jack Perry.
Yeah, I hope they expand the field to 64.
Nigga, this ain't March Madness. What the fuck?
Just have it last all year. Expand to 128.
I love Bill's Yano love, because I think I love Yano too, but it's almost like a meme at this point. Like that. I don't know the show, like the Top Gear show or whatever. The meme where he's like, "Well, this is great, but I love this," and then it's just a picture of like if Yano's like if dim sum was a person.
Unbelievable.
Zach,
great.
don't miss.
I don't. My love for Yano is not a meme. My love for Matt Menard is a meme. But I actually like watching Yano matches.
Jesus Christ.
I find him to be fucking hilarious.
Hard pass.
He might have the best entrance in all of wrestling.
Dude, it tastes like you talk about Roman Reigns' entrance takes a while.
Hi.
That intro is like, dude, how many fucking things are you fucking plugging? Shut the fuck up and take the L.
Hi.
Dude, I really want to go to Japan like really bad. I can guarantee you that when I go, I am 100% eating at Yano's restaurant, and I hope I see him.
Yes, that would be awesome.
It's like near the top of my list of places I want to visit in Japan.
Damn, dog.
Then the second night, it was headlined by TJP versus David Finlay. Zach, did you have a chance to watch this match?
It's funny. I knew I was forgetting something. I felt very accomplished. I'm like, I'm done. I'm caught up on work. I'm caught up on wrestling, and I forgot all about New Japan. So no.
David Finlay goes over. What do you think about that, Jason? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it this afternoon. This was the day of upsets coming up to this point. Great O'Connor lost to Tongaloa. Chase Owens lost to Ishii, which was a way better match than I'd anticipated.
That match was good.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that was at least 4 stars. I was like, what the fuck is going on over here?
That was the best Chase Owens match in a long time.
And I thought about you when I was watching this match. I was like, now see, we say, Ishii deserves his spots in, fill in the blank, G1, now in this case, New Japan, or the New Japan Cup. Chase Owens went out there and showed why he should at least be in these tournament matches.
But he doesn't always do that.
He doesn't have to. Shit.
He should.
Okay, I shouldn't. Poor choice of words. Poor choice of words. I shouldn't say he doesn't have to. He's not booked to. In this scenario, this was a.
He could try.
You act like he ain't going out there. Get the fuck out of here, man. You act like he rolling the ball out and was like, fuck it, I'm done. Here's that ball. I'm going to sit over here. You act like he the Good Brothers over here, man. That motherfucker was MIA for a hot minute and still collecting checks. At least Chase Owens had the decency to show up to work.
But he ain't got the physique.
You fuck off with that shit. I was about to say, I'm good with Chase Owens winning. And with in this scenario, it's classic Ishii. He loses a banger of a match. Damn shame it's a first round match, but Chase Owens earned the dub on his birthday. God bless him for it. Happy birthday, motherfucker.
Yeah, so go out and watch that match. David Finlay versus TJP was also good. David, they're still telling the story with the TJP. His little monster,
Aswang.
Yeah, like some of that shines through sometimes, and it makes him a little too crazy or whatever. David Finlay ends up going over though. Pretty good match.
I almost thought we were going to get 3 for 3 on the upset, so until David Finlay pulled this one out. Just on the surface, TJP, David Finlay, I thought it was a good match. You referenced the Aswang red mist spray that I thought was going to turn the match around and have TJP go over, but they feel like they're getting David Finlay back on track. He's talking about winning the New Japan Cup, going after Naito, getting the IWGP title, and then going after Nick Nemeth, getting the global title back and becoming double champion. So at least it sounds like they're doing something good with David Finlay. Time will tell, but still it's just confusing how he lost the title to Nick Nemeth.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm trying to pull up what the next matches are going to be.
Gabe Kidd and
Hikuleo versus Bolton Oleg. Takagi versus Yuya Uemura. That Shingo versus Uemura.
That'll be great.
Yeah, that'll be. Callum Newman versus Gabe Kidd. Yota Tsuji, Jeff Cobb. That'll be fucking cool. ELP versus Mikey Nichols. And Taichi versus Ren Narita.
A couple sleepers there.
Yeah, if there was no House of Torture, be pretty excited for Tai Chi Renarita.
Jeff Cobb, Tsuji sounds fucking amazing.
I'm ready for a Tai Chi push.
Now, see, I think it was last year when I said Tai Chi was like a sleeper for the New Japan Cup. I remember you laughing in my goddamn face.
No, not me.
Yes, you.
No, not me.
Yes,
no way.
you. Yes, you.
No, because I wanted it to be Tai Chi versus Zack Sabre Jr. I wanted to be the Dangerous Tekkers against each other. I was rooting for Tai Chi last year. Might have been 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Fair enough. Whatever. I know we didn't do a bracket, but I will say I'm just going to go out and just call my pick now. I said it on PSP, and I'm going to just stick to my pick. I'm picking Shingo to win this thing. It's been a while since he's been in the spotlight. I think this is be a perfect time to get him back into the spotlight. And obviously, with Naito as the champion, LIJ versus LIJ would be an interesting match to watch. Former IWGP champion, it would be at least
we didn't
feasible.
do brackets. We could do brackets from here on out. Zach, who do you think's going to win?
It'd be feasible
I
him
forgot
to win.
about the brackets. I don't think it's going to be Zach again. I like that pick of Shingo. I would like a young guy to win it more than anything, like a Yoda Tsuji. So I'll go with Yoda Tsuji.
I'd love it if Yoda Tsuji were to win, but I think it's going to be Zach. I just think it's Occam's razor. I think probably overthinking it. He lost the TV title to move up the card. I mean, that had to be the idea. And so it's gone. He's away from it completely. He can move up the card. So I am picking Zack Sabre Jr.
I think it's this or the G1 for him. Honestly,
Brett threw that out. Brett threw that out there, and I totally agree with it. Why not? I think if he won the New Japan Cup, I don't think he beats Naito now. If he wins the G1, I think then that's really just assuming Naito runs the table the rest of the year, and I'm not even sure he does that. If he wins the G1, I think he'll become the champion.
All right, that's going to do it for our 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Some odds and ends. William Regal makes his television return to NXT. Comes out during the No Quarter Catch crew was out there celebrating Charlie Dempsey's win of the Heritage Cup, and they have a no quarter rule where any of them can defend it at any time. This is a contrivance. This makes no sense why they're allowed to do this, and they can just say it, and yet it's perfect professional wrestling.
It was called the Freebird rule back in the day.
I know, but it really makes no sense. But I am cool with them doing this. And Regal comes out, and looks like they might be planting seeds for Regal to have a feud with his son, which I would be cool with because his son kind of talked back to him, and Regal said he's going to be keeping his eye on him. So I would be down with that. Can we please not have Ava be GM anymore and just put Regal right back in the GM role? He's perfect. And now it's on television. It's perfect. He is the guy to do it. Make Regal GM. What do you think?
Ava Raine, new GM of SmackDown. Sorry, Nick Aldis.
Dude, what do
you think, Jason?
Dude, what are you doing? I was gonna
say. What do you think about Regal's return?
It was a surprise, honestly. I would be saying otherwise if I thought differently. I don't know. Do we want to? I don't know if we want to see. Or I'll just instead of we, I'll use me. I don't know if I want to see a William Regal Charlie Dempsey physical match. I would be more, apt to see, William Regal play mental chess versus his son in that scenario. But it was a good, a little tease of what could possibly happen. Ava is fine as the GM. I mean, it's not like GMs are that damn important,
You're very generous.
I am one of the millions, so yes, I'm going to be generous in that scenario. But I don't think it's really truly necessary to have William Regal as the GM. Is Ava a bad GM? Yeah, but I mean, it's not the worst pick I've ever seen before in my life.
Come on.
She's serviceable.
Dude, she's going to come out in a couple months and she's going to say, War Games.
Wah, 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 wah.
They say charisma skips a generation.
Ouch. Damn, dog.
Kabuki Warriors are on this. Tony D'Angelo is your new #1 contender with the return of Trick Williams. Tony D'Angelo had Trick Williams' music play, which distracted Carmelo Hayes and let him win the match. And then after he won the match, Trick actually did come out. This was fun. You know, I've expressed my reservations about Tony D'Angelo. I don't think it's a main event gimmick, yet he pulls it off really well. He's a fun character to watch, and you know, he's been dealt a couple bad hands, and it's nice to see him getting a little bit of shine here.
I didn't like Tony D'Angelo then. I like him a lot more now. I like the wrestler itself. I can tend to agree with you about the gimmick per se. Not a big fan of it, but I've kind of come around to it a little more. I will give you that. It's just ultimately this is time for Melo to do the right thing and put guys over on the way up to the main roster, which is fine. Trick will be the stand and deliver match. I'm already excited for that shit. That is going to be a fucking train wreck of wrestling. Dude, I cannot wait for WrestleMania weekend on both sides of the ledger, NXT and main roster. But yeah, Trick coming back, I thought he was coming out the first time. When he didn't, I was like, oh, damn, we just got played. But it sets up the finish. And then Trick coming out the second time around was just, you know, the nice little cherry on top of the cake for that episode. And obviously we'll see the bill going forward.
What you think about this, Zach?
I still think that inserting Tony D'Angelo into it is convoluted. Just have Melo beat Ilya and have Trick beat Melo. Just it wrote itself.
Let him book the fucking territory. That is simple and it's genius, and I like it.
Just let's take all the fun out of everything. Make sense over here.
Hey, did we talk about Danielson coming out to talk to Ospreay?
We did not. I don't even think they said a word.
Yeah,
we didn't talk about Dynasty either. So Dynasty is coming to St. Louis, April 21st. After Will Ospreay has this match with Kyle Fletcher, which we talked about, everybody fucking loved it, right?
Yeah.
Very competitive. I've seen that as a slight against Will Ospreay, or against this match, that with Will Ospreay being introduced to the American audience again, like as a full-time wrestler, maybe the match shouldn't have been that competitive. I say, what the fuck are you talking about? You got to put this guy on TV and let him do what he does best. It's not about building him up to be strong. It's about showing people what a fucking Will Ospreay match looks like, because that's his biggest fucking selling point. But Danielson comes out afterwards, and well, we might be getting Ospreay Danielson in St. Louis, which is that's a big fucking match, man.
Dude, I just bought tickets and a flight on the possibility.
That's a big match. So
Vice and I were talking about that.
It's happening in St. Louis, which is pretty exciting too. But Danielson Ospreay is one of those matches that, I might burst into pure energy.
If we can only delay it a couple weeks, I think the longer the match doesn't happen is the greater likely it happens here. And obviously that would be one of the highlight matches of AEW Dynasty. TK owes us one.
I usually don't care. I'm usually not like, hey, you should save this for a pay-per-view, but you should save this for a pay-per-view.
Danielson Ospreay?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, Tony, he's known to jump the gun.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Just if we could just let him talk some shit for the next couple weeks. You don't
60-minute draw to open Dynamite next week.
Son of a bitch. Damn you, TK. But I would be but that's as much, like I said, as much as I bang on TK, we do get those nuggets of matches where Kenny Omega and Danielson open Dynamite. Okay, yeah. Can you really be mad about that? No. If you are, you're a fucking asshole. So I can't be mad about that. It's sometimes the way he books, short term, long term. I'll always have a problem with that.
You know how many Thanksgivings and Christmases that I've just prayed that Zach was going to come back in town so I would have somebody to talk to at a Thanksgiving or a Christmas, and he never came back. And then Ospreay and Danielson just start sniffing each other's asses, and Zach buys a plane ticket on spec.
Accurate. Guilty as charged.
God damn, he said start.
I needed you at those holidays.
Well, hey, motherfucker, Thanksgiving's coming early. Your boy's coming in the month.
Unbelievable.
I have a daughter who lives in St. Louis.
You say, if I ain't seeing her, I'm damn sure I ain't coming to see your ass.
You know what's sad is she's going to be on Coachella that weekend, so I'm flying back the weekend that she's out.
I also want to mention that they're doing my boy Matt Menard wrong. He has a match against Killswitch on Dynamite, loses in a minute and a half, and when that motherfucker comes down the ring, or comes down the ramp, that beautiful, talented, hard-working young man comes down the ring. It says making 2024 AEW debut. That's his first fucking match. The dude doesn't even have a record.
Your boy's doing commentary, dog. What you want?
It's March. He came down 0-0.
Malachi Black wrestled more than him this year.
Yeah, man.
Shrapnel all over the place.
Queen Aminata has had 43 televised matches in 2024.
Stop, motherfucker. Just stop it. I'm going to ask you to refrain from this nonsense.
She's wrestling twice a collision. Matt Menard's 0-0
on the same night, so she really is wrestling twice.
Yeah, I know. She probably was.
And she brought a dessert.
What'd you say? Matt Menard has wrestled this year. Oh, shit. We should give him a match.
0-0. Oh, how's it going out there? Oh, yeah. You're going to... Fucking Killswitch is going to fucking slam you around for 90 seconds, then you're taking the pin. Make sure... Look like you're dead.
Okay.
And then Edge comes back, and Edge calls out Christian.
I quit Matt next week. Or not next week, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. They're going to be in Toronto. Next week is big business, so we're going to see Mercedes Moné. Okay, that's going to do for our odds and ends.
What if she doesn't come out?
I mean...
She did say, I think I saw a headline that she did an interview recently and said she has big business to attend to.
Okay, so. Never mind then. All right, I'll see you on Wednesday.
It's like a fucking Hardy Boys novel. We got some birthdays this week. Bruce Pritchard is 61, the aforementioned. The aforementioned Chase Owens is 34. Tyler Bate, 27. Chad Gable is 38. Rick Steiner, 63. Killswitch is 39. JoJo is 30. Hope she's doing all right. Mae Young would have been 101. Kenta is 43. And Matt Jackson, and I know which one that is. He is 39 years old.
Yeah, right.
Rabbit Fever. Hey, everybody, we know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. For Tender Mahal, that's Joey O'Farrell, Wrestling at the Grandel, March 24th.
Check.
For Brett Jagger, for
Check.
Lucha Chris,
Check.
for Murray the Murray Man, Murray.
Check.
For Vice.
Check.
For
Patriot Pat.
Patriot Pat. For
Check.
Two Beer Zach Bowman.
Check.
For the family, for Jason Cornelius
Check.
Bell.
Can
I
you twat
am
bitches?
Bill Beggy.
Check.
Remember that Black Lives Matter. Support
Check.
your local weed dealers.
Check.
Support your local restaurants.
Check.
Give your parents a call.
Double check.
And boo the heels.
Boo, bitch.